what is the right mindset?
Mindset is to work hard. There is no alternative for hard work. So have a very strong belief in yourself. Today, textile waste is not small. Few brands, they just throw. They cannot sustain it for long because they have to give something new again. My dad always used to say, you should create wealth. You should not acquire wealth. Then naturally clothing will become sustainable. Why are we not promoting? That was a kind of urge in me.
It's not the first sale, it's when the customers come back again. Retention rate is what tells you the real.
Want that art to end with them. They don't want to pass it on to their children. They try to call me and say, Aparna, last year Ichi Richa, please give me 3-4 colors in the same sari. Today buying something expensive also gives you that pain of preserving it.
Today's guest is a founder who proves that dreams doesn't have an expiration date. After waiting for 11 years, she launched her handloom brand in 2023 with one mission to make India embrace its handlooms again. In this episode, you will learn how to take inspiration from the global markets and apply it to solve our local problems. How having a right mindset, strong foundation, and learning skills matter more than the external support while starting out. Let's hear her story.
So tell us about yourself, Aparna Garu, your background, what were you doing before starting Sarasi?
Before Sarasi, I am. Where do I start? It is basically, I was a normal, not very extrovert girl, but yeah, many things in life has taught me so many. When we went to China, I learned Chinese. Worked more as a Chinese translator than my computer profession. I left my job when I got my second daughter.
Okay.
After leaving the job, then in China it was only my daughter and my shopping. Nothing else in Indonesia. That was in Indonesia.
Okay.
So that is the time when we had lot of time to explore. Explore market, explore to know so many things about the handloom market as such in Indonesia.
So you did your master's, then learned Chinese. I mean, master's in computer science, and then you learned Chinese, and it's like total switch of things. Like, how was the journey from IT background to learning Chinese?
IT background, it was just in college. It was not a big change because IT never was seriously pursued. After my graduation, I was immediately married. I did not even complete my graduation. Master's second year, no, I got married. So I didn't actually pursue computers as a profession.
Okay.
And then after that, when we went to China, I had an opportunity to learn Chinese. That language actually, that is a very interesting thing. I had a maid in China she was my first teacher to teach Chinese. And then I started to talk to her. That gave me a lot of confidence.
Okay.
Like, okay, I have a skill of learning a language and I can talk better than other Indians who are in this community, who have been there for quite some time but still did not pick up Chinese. That is when I thought, okay, I should pursue it very seriously.
Okay.
And then joined the university, learned Chinese.
You went to university.
I can read Chinese, I can write Chinese.
Oh, that's great. Nice. So, why did you choose handlooms? Like, where this idea come from?
This idea, basically, when we were in Indonesia, I told you, I had a lot of time. And my husband was a touring job. He was almost away for 20 days in a month.
Okay.
So I and my younger daughter, we had a lot of time to explore Indonesia.
Oh.
We were in Jakarta. So I used to go to different markets in Jakarta. And I observed something that they have lot of handlooms similar to India. Because ikat is from Indonesia, Cambodia, Indonesia basically. It is,
I thought it's from India. Ikat.
no, it came to India
From
the-
Indonesia.
yeah.
Oh, this we were not aware of.
So that way. And then the batik, their batik is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The way the whole nation, every Friday the whole nation was wearing a batik in all the government offices or in any place. You will see everybody wearing it on Fridays. That actually made me think, okay, Manaki, we are having so many handlooms in India. Every 100 kilometers you have a new handloom.
Yes.
Especially in Andhra, Telangana, handlooms is like such a prominent thing.
Every region has their own.
So manam ikkad nunchi, if we go to Pochampalli, we have one handloom.
Yes.
If we move a little forward, you have Narayanpet, you have Dharmavaram. So many. Every 100 kilometers you travel, their kind of weaving is different. Why not we do something like this? Why are we not promoting? That was a kind of urge in me. And then I started reading about handlooms.
Oh.
I'm not basically a textile person, so I just started reading. And while reading, we try to get to learn so many things.
Okay. So in this process, you said in Indonesia, they were celebrating their handlooms every, Friday, wearing batik. What was the situation back then, back in India? How handlooms were treated in India then?
India, see, before 2000, this was in 2010 or 11.
Oh, okay.
So 2010 or 11, whenever I started reading about Indian handloom, I used to see this news that there is a death in a weaver's family or suicide in the weaver's family because he wasn't able to pay the debt or whatever. That was a pathetic situation. Now, of course, government has taken few initiatives, promoted few handlooms. People are getting awareness for the handloom, but then I don't think it was so serious
situation.
about handlooms.
Okay.
And now there are many entrepreneurs who are actually focusing on working with handloom. So, yeah.
So from the day you got this idea to the implementation, what was going in your head and how was the entire journey?
Oh. What was going in my head? This was a very, very serious calling for me that I should do something in handloom. And I could actually take this thought kept it alive for almost 2012 till 2023. It was only an idea, but it was a very strong a thing
Thought.
that whatever I do, finally handlooms is my thing. So in between, we came back to India. I had to support my husband for in finance and all in my family business. All that we did. But finally in 2023, I said, okay, this is it. I have to start this now. So in meanwhile also, I was trying to do small little things when we were out of India. In Indonesia, I used to take our kalamkari and all. I tried to promote it. It was fine, but it was not a wow.
Okay.
This is what I wanted. No. So that is when I thought, okay, this is not the thing. We should promote our handlooms the way people are wanting it, not the way we are looking at it.
Yes.
That was one feeling I own, that even today it exists. So our handlooms are something, but how people are wanting them is more important than what our weavers, how to convert it into what they are liking is more important. That is what is my feeling. So I started doing my fashion design.
Oh.
I said, okay, I will learn how to stitch. I will learn how to design. I will learn how to choose the colors. Then it was okay. My selection was good. My choice was good, but that doesn't mean I can design anything. So that is when I actually did my fashion design.
Oh.
And then it went on, and then we came back to India. So after that, 2023, I started Sarasi.
Oh, it's almost like 11 years you were holding on to this thought.
I had to carry this
So
in my mind.
why? What is the one thing which kept you holding on to handlooms?
First initial thought itself was very strong.
Okay.
That only inspired me to keep it alive and keep it going. That one thing which I really felt that why not for Indian handloom? I think that itself gave the base for everything.
So after so many years of waiting and anticipating the idea, like how it felt when you started?
So once I started, it was not that great excitement because I didn't know if weaver will just because I'm saying why should a weaver to me and weave for me. It was just a flow, that's all. But once today when I see people are liking and they come and tell me that your fabric is very good, your weave is, this is the time when I'm feeling the excitement.
Nice. So how did you find your weavers?
My weavers is a very, I like went to these people. They discouraged me. Please, I went and I said I want to do this. But it was them who discouraged. Don't come, don't leave your job and come into this torture. It is all. We are facing this from so many days. So please don't come. I went to there is one lady, Nagalakshmi Anesi. She was the one whom I went to first because Maku, we have an ITI college in our village.
Okay.
So there few boys from Pate cluster I'm working with also study. So that boy took me to these people. So that lady said, please don't come. You all do nice jobs in city. We are facing so many troubles. Why do you also want to come in? But something always was there in my mind, so I didn't want to leave it. So I used to go almost every month. Twice I went to her. I tried to convince her. Okay, don't worry. I will try to support you the best. Only you weave for me.
Okay.
If it is only you, I can support you forever. I just have to plan for that much investment if she's giving me or whatever. But then it so happened slowly 4 or 5 people came around and then we started weaving.
Nice. Now you have how many weavers are associated with you?
Now we have 9 of them.
Nice. Is that lady still part of the team?
Yes. Definitely.
What do you think that made them say, don't come to this profession, it's a torture? It must have come from the deep struggle or something.
But that is the way we look at it. Initially we think that we are trying to help them. But after facing the life for so long with all the hardships, there is no growth, right? Whenever there is a change in weaving, whenever there is a change in yarn price, or whenever there is some change in the market, their wages come down. That is the easiest thing that people see that they can negotiate on. Because yarn price cannot be negotiated on, or transport, all these cannot be negotiated on. But their wages are the easiest thing to negotiate.
Okay.
So that is the reason they have never seen growth. If you see the actual weaver, their houses, however serious they are into weaving, their house is still the same, the old one. It is very
There is
bad.
no growth for them in the field.
Yeah, that is the reason they don't want to pursue it at all.
Okay.
They want that art to end with them. They don't want to pass it on to their children because they don't see any growth. In today's life, if there is no growth, who wants to pursue it?
Yes, true. In this fast-moving world.
And the economy or whatever the livelihood, the expenditure on the whatever our income, cost of living has increased so much, they cannot sustain it. How can they sustain?
So, so after associating with you, how are they currently feeling about their craft? Are they happy or still they feel there is something? I mean, how is their
Definitely,
feeling?
there is a lot to do, but
Mhm.
yeah, the small little things have improved.
Okay.
Like at least they are able to send their children, or
Mhm.
the see what we do may not directly influence their living.
Mm-mm.
Like you cannot see tremendous growth in like 1 year or 2 years. It has to be continuous.
Mm.
But small little things,
Things.
yes, definitely.
Okay. So, you also you said that you also design saris and dresses. So where that creativity comes from? How did you get the thought that I can also design and?
As I told you, I did fashion designing, but this is a very different thing. What happens is when people, especially in weaving, if they are weaving as per their idea, it is always that traditional weave, traditional colors. There is nothing like which attracts the youngsters,
Okay.
because a weaver cannot make any experiment. For them, okay, this is a livelihood. They just have to continue. Today, if they are weaving 10 saris, the 10 saris should go out of their house in next 2-3 days.
Okay.
They cannot stock it, because with that for that 10 saris, they need to get money to continue their
The
weaving.
next. Mm.
So how will, and now if I am as a new person, if I am going to get the 10 saris and try to sell, I'm not sure how will it get sold, because today 60 years, 70 years ladies also don't want to wear anything very traditional.
Okay.
After coming into this, I have learned that people's choice has changed a lot. Of course, there are people who want to wear traditional saris, but the choice of people or the ease of clothing. Like if a lady is wearing a sari for the whole day, she might not be able to carry in this particular weather condition or in this rush. So they are choosing to wear dresses. So if I am saying I'm going to only wear saris, I might not sustain. Because for me, sustaining myself is sustaining weavers also.
It's true.
So that is where design comes into picture. When you have to give a nice in-trend colors, like every year we have to change color,
Okay.
color pattern. You have to change the style of weaving, or you have to weave a fabric and give somebody dresses. So many things are in, and it is all forced. If you do this, you survive, or you are there mediocre. See, growth is what growth of community here as a weaving community. So you cannot make that community when you are sticking to that only
Particular
thing.
piece or
You have to be innovative. You have to
change
keep
Ada-
changing,
adoption.
adapt to the colors,
Yes.
adapt to new
The-
trends. And this dress design has come accidentally, because few of the saris used to get slight damages here and there. The threads would missing threads, missing design. So I didn't know what to do with that fabric. I cannot sell at sale price, like half of it, because I know what is the effort behind it.
Yes.
How much effort has gone into it, my effort, my weaver's effort, whatever, as a cycle. So I cannot do a sale on whatever least price. So then I thought, okay, just cutting the small fabric away can make it a nice dress, and can be sold well at a reasonable price. So that was when dress designing started.
Oh, it's very innovative and creative.
No, it is the need of the hour.
Instead of giving away the sari, entire sari at whole sale or something, you have utilized it very well. Like
Yes, definitely.
redesigning.
I basically, personally, I don't believe in the concept of sale.
Okay.
Because if somebody knows the value of hard work or labor, They cannot sell it at a lower rate. Anything in handloom, handcraft, the value you give to your craft is that. That is what I believe in. Not that everybody should, but that is what I feel. Just selling something at half price or a nominal price is like degrading the product. You are saying that your product is not bad, not good.
Doesn't justify the
Of
efforts
course.
behind.
So I never believe in the
Okay.
concept of sale.
So what was the first thing that went wrong?
That went wrong.
Yeah.
For even today, I feel that probably by taking outside clothes, people get their own clothes to stitch. They get different fabrics, different material, and we stitch it. So I sometimes feel bad about that
Okay.
because today outside fabric is whatever. Not I know the way the fabric is. I feel pathetic that oh no,
Okay.
I have to stitch it. That is a pressure on me.
Okay.
That is something even today I know that I'm not doing the right thing.
Okay. So you take fabrics from outside
Yeah,
and
from
you customers and you
stitch
stitch
them,
them.
to support the
okay.
stitching expenses. So
Okay. What keeps you up at night right now about Sarasi? What are the challenges or, right now you're facing?
challenges there are many. I can list out many, but
Okay.
few of them I'll tell you. Right now we are in the process of developing one application,
Okay.
a try-on app, which might look rosy, but I don't have that many viewers to produce. When the app is coming online, I should have that much stock to market on.
Okay.
But still, I do not have so many viewers. So that keeps me like shivers in the night. How do I manage? Now, app is going to be online. Then what is that I have to do to manage my back end?
To balance the demand and supply.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is very difficult to motivate viewers to come and do work with us. So, yeah, it is still the biggest challenge I am facing, which makes me, stay long night, see what is
Happening.
Definitely, it is a challenge.
Yes. Yeah. So how is Sarasi Handlooms actually doing right now?
Sarasi, right now, I have all my old customers, many of them, at least my last 2 years customers. This summer, I can see the result. Like they try to order online. They try to call me and say, Aparna, last year Ichirichao, please give me 3-4 colors in the same sari.
Oh, that's great.
So that feels like a heaven.
It's not the first sale, it's when the customers come back
Come
again.
back,
Retention rate is what tells you the real
Very
story of
true,
any
very
product.
True, very true.
That's
And now they buy 5-6 saris at a time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, all my struggle, so many days, it's coming through this year, this summer especially. And yeah, people are like, they love to be in my sari now.
That's very. So, what makes you show up every single day? What motivates you?
Oh, this is what motivates me now. That everybody wants 10-15 saris, but my shelves are all getting empty.
Oh, that's
I need to motivate my viewers now to quickly do.
So on a normal day, let's say on a normal day when it's not summer, then what motivates you to work?
If it's not summer, also the same thing motivates me. That okay, today I have given my customers few things last few days. Now whoever is coming back, they need a new design. They need a something new in the sari. They cannot wear the same sari now.
Same
also.
pattern always. So how do you get there? Like how do you invent this new patterns?
I keep checking so many, journals, so many views, so many techniques. How can we implement them? I keep checking. I take most of my inspiration from Kanjivarams.
Okay.
because that is the that is a beauty. Banaras is a totally different kind of weave because there is lot of work in it, heavy things. But I know that in my looms that is not possible.
Okay.
But I take inspiration from Kanjivarams, all those nice colors and beautiful patterns, designs, geometry. So that is, I keep checking. Almost every day I spend 1.5 to 2 hours to see new color, how to make it a reality in a my weave.
Okay. So learning is still going on every single day.
It has to go on every day.
Yes.
I even see Lakme fashion show, or I even see, what is that channel?
MTV or FT, I don't know.
Fashion TV. I see that what is the trend, what is the neck pattern, what
Oh.
is so many things I do.
Nice. So what is the dream for Sarasi Handlooms?
Sarasi Handlooms has to go into youngsters, and the handloom has to go to them the way they like,
Okay.
not the way I want to give them.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is when I can say that, okay, youngsters also will shoulder the similar responsibility of taking handloom forward.
Yeah. So handlooms has to evolve from saris to dresses to, you know, in various.
However you like. The way t-shirts came into the market,
Mm-mm.
the whole bunch, the like a windfall.
Mm-mm.
Similarly, handloom should go.
Like ready to wear kind of.
Yeah, like a windfall, it has to go. Like
Okay.
people who are wearing handlooms cannot wear
Any
anything
other
else.
like nice.
The comfort should come like that.
Mm.
Because t-shirt, if you see, my daughter wouldn't want to wear anything else but t-shirt.
Mm.
If I want her to wear a normal Indian dress, she says it is folky.
Oh.
If she is wearing t-shirt and those extra large whatever
Oversized.
is oversized trend,
Mm-hmm.
they follow that because of comfort, right?
Yes,
It is not
comfort.
not that they want to wear it. How it came to them is because of the comfort.
Yes.
Similar thing, handloom also can give.
Hmm.
But we should take it forward that way.
We will be waiting. So one thing you know now that you wish you knew before starting Sarasi.
I know I have to focus only on one area,
Mm-hmm.
that is Peteru, or
Okay.
just one or two weaves.
Mm-hmm.
Back then I did not know.
Okay.
I tried to work on Banaras, I tried to work on so many different handlooms. But then I thought, okay, focusing just on one or two weaves
Mm-hmm.
will take us forward.
Okay.
And then if I knew, I wouldn't have wasted so much money on it.
Oh. What was the most discouraging thing someone told you during this journey?
No, many people asked me that
Okay.
this is a stupidity what you're doing because weavers will not come and support you.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It is their point of view for me.
Okay. If someone comes to you and says that they want to start a business, what do you think are the necessary skills one should have to start it,
To start a business,
to start their business? If they're coming to you and asking,
you should have a right mindset.
okay, what is the right mindset?
That is the only skill needed.
What is the right mindset? How do you determine that, yeah, this is the right mindset?
See, acceptance that you have to work hard.
It's not that you started a business and it's going to take off like a flight.
Yes.
Every day is a learning and every...
Hard work, there is no easy path.
True.
So hard work is the only thing that can keep you up. That is the only skill you need. It is not you are having few degrees or no, or you know accounts, you know something very relevant. No, that all comes. That's what I was telling you, right?
In the process.
It comes in the process. But the right mindset is to work hard. There is no alternative for hard work in anything. You have to work hard, and that you'll be there. Whatever is your thought, you should have an idea, and you should have be ready to work hard. That's all.
So right now, what is the one thing you are focusing the most to grow Sarasi?
Now I have to include more weavers into our this one, and that's it. I think Sarasi will be there soon.
Yeah, it will be.
Mm.
Then we'll make another video.
Definitely, any time for you.
Oh, thank you. So, what happens if weavers' children doesn't choose the craft? Whether they are interested to pursue it or not.
Weavers' children, for today, they don't want to pursue it.
Okay.
But if they don't pursue it, who is the next generation who is to take it up? This is a very big turmoil in any craft, not only in weaving. The younger generation is not coming into the craft because they don't see any growth. But the day we are able to show some growth and we are saying that, okay, this is professional enough for your next generation to take up, probably more number of weavers are going to get trained, and the weaver himself, he doesn't train his children to get this craft because we have gone through all this hardship. I don't want my children to go through all this again. So this mindset will change only if they have respect, only if they have recognition. And when we say a weaver is a craftsman and artisan and respect them, that is when I think their children also want to learn. And their economic growth. That is one more major factor. Yes. India has to know what they are buying. You buy whatever you want. You buy your favorite things, but know what you're buying. That can take your handloom, handicraft, anything forward. Because see, there is one more mindset that we all have. Today, after advent of social media, sari or dress is become so important in our lives that one photograph and that's it, the dress cannot be worn again. That is a kind of mindset, but that was not mindset earlier. Earlier, I remember if my parents, my mother, if she bought a sari, a nice Kanjivaram sari, she used to buy it saving some money. Like she would have saved a part of her salary, whatever she got for the home, for at least 5-6 months and bought one sari. So she had that emotion with the sari. Okay, this sari was earned by me. It is, that affection was there. So they cared for it also like that. They kept it well. They tried to wash it themselves. They tried to preserve it. But today, the fabric, we get fabric in 500 rupees also. 500 is nothing for today's people's earning, right? So they don't value for it as much. Okay, if I'm wearing it for 2 times or 3 times and showing it to my people around, that's it. That is enough. So they can easily throw away.
They're not preserving it
they are
as
not.
gold.
Suppose, see, today buying something expensive also gives you that pain of preserving it. If you're buying cheap stuff, you don't have pain of preserving it.
Yes. Importance.
However the material might be, it is okay to throw it away. If it is not comfortable, I'll wear it for one or 2 times and throw it away. That is such an easy statement, isn't it?
Yes.
But when early in the morning when we go to our wardrobe, every day, what do we want to wear? One nice, soft, which is very comfortable.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Natural choice, that is. So, yeah, it carries so much emotion when you're buying the real thing. We will preserve it also like that.
Yes. When you feel it's valuable, you put the efforts to preserve it.
Then naturally clothing will become sustainable. You don't have to buy so many things if you're caring for it.
Even though if you buy so many things, right, the current everybody does that. We buy so many things, but we end up wearing the one or two pieces which gives us the most comfort.
Correct.
So instead of that, we can buy few quality items.
Correct.
Maybe.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So
Then, see, also, we have to be very watchful that today textile waste is not small.
Mhm.
We are few brands, they abandon their, they just throw away their collection. Once the brand is, the collection is launched, they keep it only for this many days, probably 2 months. They cannot sustain it for long because they have to give something new again. So when something new is given, the old thing, what will they do? They are dumping it. And then it becomes textile waste.
Okay, it's in a way affecting the environment also.
A lot. But if you're wearing handloom, you can use the same sari. Suppose the sari is there. It's an ikat sari. I can wear it for some 1 year, 2 years. And then I can use it like a bed sheet or something very easy to carry. And then after few years, I can give it to my daughter for her son or daughter, whoever, like a blanket. After that, as a rag.
Oh,
And that is the way the fabric has to disintegrate and fall off. That is the time when a fabric is getting into the earth very easily. Today, what we wear, we throw it so easily.
true. So one saree, multiple uses.
Uses. That is what our culture also teaches. That whatever you buy, it has to naturally decompose.
True. So the last question: if someone right now is watching us and they have an idea and they want to start something on their own, but they are not able to do it, maybe because they are doubtful or confused, what would you tell them?
See, you should analyze for yourself. Is the passion strong enough to keep you going in every good and bad phases of it? Like business is always not rosy. You will have so many days when you don't have time to sleep. It will be okay if you like it, if that thought is powerful. So just analyze for yourself, sit down with yourself, think that is this the strongest thought I'm getting? Or it is very important actually. For me, one motivation what I had is, my dad always used to say, you should not be wealth acquirers, you should be wealth generators. You should create wealth, you should not acquire wealth. So that kept us motivated, and this idea came like addition to that. So today I'm having so many issues, but it will keep me alive in this, that I keep going. Every new day is a new morning for me to do something. Okay, today I only think that today how to increase my business, how to innovate different things. But I will never say, okay, today let me not do anything and let me see how I should. No, that thought doesn't come. So your basic idea should be very strong. That will make you innovate yourself, learn yourself, keep you motivated in whatever situations you're going through. So have a very strong belief in yourself. Once you have that clarity, okay, this is the thing I have to do, then
There's no
just
stop.
to be motivated, do innovative things, try to relate it to people's wants, and then nothing can stop you. Business or accounting or all this will come anyway, because once you have like a fish which is dropped into a pond has to learn swimming. So we learn, but that thought and that motivation comes only within us. So that will give everything to you that you have to do. You can learn anything, but that motivation should be there. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much,
Oh, thank
Aparna
you.
for your
Thank
time.
you so much for coming.
We
And
had a great conversation and learned so many. Yeah, clap, clap.
That was Aparna's story. If something she says stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you want more conversations like this, please subscribe to the channel. We are just getting started. Drop your thoughts, feedbacks in the comment section. See you in the next one.